That isn't necessary. I don't I don't think that was necessary. Like at all. Actually, hold on. Like my channel, my server is actual bro. Hold on, I gotta. Yeah.
On November 14 of 2025, a small family rents out an Airbnb for a few days, unaware that they would encounter
Like,
something very
oh,
unsettling while staying there. They had booked the place in advance for an upcoming wedding, so staying here made sense.
huh.
But one night, after coming back from walking their dog, this happens.
We were just out walking my dog, and when we came in, we heard. Jesus Christ. Grinch!
Somehow, the leash on her dog's collar suddenly jolts up in a quick motion before wrapping itself around her dog. It just flings up as if someone had chucked it
Strings.
upwards, but clearly,
Strings.
no one is seen on the stairs to have done that,
That's
which is very
100%
odd
strings.
considering that just moments
Strings,
ago
bro.
this was heard. Now, Sydney, who recorded this video, was
Edited.
just as baffled as the Airbnb host who received this video from her. But this wouldn't be the only video she sends, because the next day, while
Hmm. for like. Oh my god. Let me rename this stream. Now let me find one real quick. I'll be right back. I just found a playlist. Guess what we're doing?
On January 7th, 2024, a strange video surfaced online. It's entitled Weird Minecraft Bugs, Bug Report Number 1. The clip was uploaded to a mysterious channel called The Decayed. At first, things appear normal. We're watching Minecraft gameplay of a user named SandyCarps8. He's on a multiplayer server with a friend named Cargo Ships. They discuss a recent adventure. Did you see when that spider dropped from the ceiling and almost killed me? Lol, yeah, that was pretty funny. We didn't really get too much stuff, though. The players walk through the forest and reach their house, deciding that they need to go mining to get better equipment. In the basement, they drop off their wood in the storage room. Next, they head towards the mine. Cargo suggests going to Y=11 to strip mine, and the two work together to dig their tunnel deeper. After about a minute, their progress is halted when they tunnel into lava. Sandy suggests they come back later, and they return to the house. Then something odd happens. Sandy and Cargo suddenly find themselves back in the forest. Initially, it seems like the video is looped, but Sandy's chats indicate that he has noticed it too. What? Why am I back here? Cargo's response is rather odd. Lol, yeah, that was pretty funny. We didn't really get too much stuff though. Cargo doesn't address Sandy at all. It's almost as if he's talking to someone that doesn't exist. And we realize that Cargo is repeating his messages from earlier in the video. Sandy asks if Cargo can hear him, but there's no reply. We watch as Cargo follows the same path from before, depositing his items in the chest and heading into the mine. All the while, he continues repeating the chat messages from earlier. The screen briefly goes black. Then we see Cargo mining near the bottom. This isn't funny, Cargo. You can stop now. then a sudden cut. What? What happened to the mine entrance? Why is the music so weird? But things get even stranger when the video shifts perspectives to a different player. They have a dark skin and they're watching Sandy and Cargo from a hilltop. If we rewind the footage, we can see it in the second loop, observing from afar. The video ends with a final static shot of the house, deepening the mysteries even further. This video is merely the entry point into the long and winding mystery of the Decade. But there's something else hidden in the shadows, a game with a limited bonus that you won't want to miss. They've just launched a crossover with an
No.
players can use a promo code in
No.
the interior of the house thanks to Raid Shadow Legend. While the dark figure is the most mysterious difference between the two loops, it certainly isn't the only one. When Sandy and Cargo are teleported back to the forest, Sandy's hotbar changes. The stake and log swap places. Furthermore, the interior of the house is slightly different. There's no sign on the right-hand chest in the second loop. And if we look even closer, we'll find that Cargo's messages from the two loops don't align in time, even though the text is identical. We don't yet understand the reason for these discrepancies. In fact, we don't understand much at all. The following day, another video was released, titled More Weird Stuff, Bug Report Number 2. It begins with what appears to be another loop. The players find themselves back in the forest. Now, Sandy has 3 experience levels instead of 2. As Cargo starts his dialogue once more, Sandy reacts with escalating confusion. This time, he doesn't follow Cargo, choosing instead to walk in the opposite direction. After a few moments, he encounters something strange, the edge of the world. Chunks are not loading here, there's nothing more than an empty void. This is similar to the end of the first video with the unloaded chunks near the mine entrance. It's almost as if Sandy's not supposed to be here. There's another detail that's easy to miss, a dark figure in the tree. While we can't quite make out their full name, it appears to end with an R. As Sandy returns to Cargo, the Minecraft music becomes increasingly distorted. Sandy descends into the mine, but it's different this time. Instead of a cave with lava, there's a long, empty tunnel. After following it for a while, Sandy discovers a narrow side tunnel without torches. The deeper he goes, the darker it gets, accompanied by a whooshing sound that crescendos. Then we're back to the start again for the 4th loop of the series. It is now nighttime. Cargo is nowhere to be seen, and his messages are conspicuously absent from the chat. The music is scrambled, clashing with a persistent wind noise. As Sandy returns to the house, we notice a staircase of blocks on top, perhaps built by the mysterious black figure who is now standing in a lilac bush. We can just barely make out their name. It's voyeur, a French noun meaning one who sees. Inside the house, Cargo's bed and chest are missing. The basement also has a slight difference. There's no sign on the bottom left chest. Intriguingly, this is the chest that Cargo last used. We saw him open it in the second loop. It seems that connections to Cargo are disappearing one by one. Returning to the mine, Sandy becomes increasingly distressed. Cargo, I'm going to save you, no matter what. At the bottom, a dark fog obscures the tunnel depths. As Sandy progresses,
I'm gonna be so honest, he's not saving anyone. I bet by the end of this, he's actually gonna die.
strange black blocks appear on the edges, their density increasing the deeper Sandy goes. Then an eerie blue message appears. I haven't talked to him in days. He hasn't played Minecraft with me for so long. I hope everything is alright. Where is he? Where is he? Is this Sandy speaking? That doesn't quite make sense. To this point, all of Sandy's messages have been in the main chat. Instead, we're forced to consider the possibility that this is somehow Cargo. Is Sandy missing from his perspective also? This video ends with a shot of the house, just like the first video. This time, however, the door is open. Let's take a moment and attempt to untangle what's happening here. The videos so far contain a sequence of loops. They restart when Sandy is teleported back to the forest. However, each iteration is different. Sometimes there are minor changes, like a sign being removed. Other times, the changes are major, such as the tunnel in the mine or Cargo's disappearance. It appears that Sandy is supposed to follow a specific path in the loop. When he deviates too much, the chunks are not loaded. The first loop seems to go according to plan, with no anomalies. But each subsequent loop has one crucial difference. Sandy knows that he's in a loop. We don't understand why Sandy gains this awareness, or why Cargo apparently doesn't. But we do have to wonder, was the first video we saw truly the first time this happened? Or has this loop been repeating for a long time, with the story picking up just before Sandy breaks out of the cycle? It's intriguing that, once the loop breaks, the world begins to decay. Signs disappear, dark blocks are generated, and mysterious shadow figures arrive. Somehow, the stability of this place is damaged. Breaking the loop clearly has a significance that we don't fully understand. For now, we will continue to the third video, entitled Limbo. Before we dive in, let's take a brief look at the description. Signals. Something is not right. He reached sentience. This is not supposed to happen. This is not supposed to happen. What will I tell him? Is this talking about Sandy? Who exactly wrote this description? The video begins with the fifth loop. The world is daytime once again, but Cargo is still missing. The blocks on top of the house are also gone. On the main floor, there's a new painting on the wall. Sandy goes to the basement, and when he returns, the picture is changed. It's difficult to tell what it depicts. Maybe flowers? We quickly
Blue skies, black trees, black grass, people, something. Then these are definitely flowers.
find the answer. As Sandy explores away from the house, he approaches a very similar cluster of lilacs overlooking the edge of the world. Comparing the two, we can see that this is the same place as the painting. It's almost as if it's telling Sandy where to go. Sandy looks over the edge and discovers something unexpected, invisible blocks in the void. He begins walking on them, moving into the white emptiness beyond. In the distance, a dark door becomes visible. Well, guess I don't have an option. Sandy opens it, revealing swirling clouds within. As Sandy approaches, the wind swells. Maybe this was the source of it the whole time. The player enters the doorway. Sandy teleports to a completely different place, a realm of dark purple blocks with distant clouds. When Sandy tries to chat, he gets an error message. Unauthorized access, chat function disabled due to lack of developer permissions. There's a similar warning at the top, this one instructing Sandy to restart their game. This new place has many hallways with entrances to other rooms, each labeled with a sign. Experiment, followed by a number. Sandy enters the room for experiment number 67801236. In the center of the room, there's a hole. Sandy jumps in.
No one.
He teleports back to his world, but from a different vantage point. Now he's standing above his house on invisible blocks. Below, we witness something bizarre. Sandy and Cargo are walking around, discussing their need to go mining. This isn't a recording of the first loop because the timing is different once again. Instead, this appears to be a different loop altogether. We have no idea why there's a copy of Sandy and why Cargo is back. Sandy pushes a button in the sky and he's returned to the purple place. He goes to a different... The recording of the first loop because the timing is different once again. Instead, this appears to be a different loop altogether. We have no idea why there's a copy of Sandy and why Cargo is back. Sandy pushes a button in the sky and he's returned to the purple place. He goes to a different...
I've lost hope.
room, this one corresponding to experiment 892-30096. Jumping in the pit, he's warped to another version of his world. But this one's just a bit off. The usernames of the players are slightly different. SandyCarps26 instead of SandyCarps8. Cargo's name is also changed. Furthermore, the music has been transposed down a major second, increasing the uncanniness. The mine doesn't exist in this version, and the players talk about building a castle. Sandy comments in the chat. Also, castle? I remember building a castle. Where's the castle? Was it never there? Other experiments have much bigger changes than this one. Sandy returns to Limbo and warps to experiment 8389. Here, the sky is complex, infused with pulsing psychedelic patterns. The music is sweeping and full, unlike any Minecraft music we've heard before. And yet, the landscape appears to be similar in shape to the other worlds. There are once again two players below, Zyphoid and Serene Mist. This time, though, they notice Sandy. Who in Is this guy? He's just flying above our house? Sandy tries to respond, but
Notice.
again he doesn't have permission to use the chat. The players decide to leave. Sandy returns to Limbo and approaches another experiment, 1919. This one is ominously labeled Unstable. He teleports to a dark, empty world with no players in sight. When he tries to leave, the button is unresponsive. Sandy is apparently trapped.
Great.
Just before the video concludes, there's another message in
That is
chat from
just
someone named
wonderful.
Execo4, who says, "Uh-oh." The video ends with another static shot of the world. Come to think of it, what's the deal with each video ending with an image? The first video's image has the house. In the second, the door is open and the image is darker. Then the house is gone and the image is darker still. We don't really know what this means.
Natural ones, I guess.
The following video is called Meeting, and it starts back in the main world for the 6th loop. Somehow, Sandy managed to escape the unstable world. Sandy returns to the world edge and walks into the void, but this time the door is gone. He continues walking nonetheless, and suddenly finds himself back in Experiment 8389. He reaches the mainland after a few moments. Sandy approaches Xiphoid and Serene Mist's house. Now he's able to chat. The players are bewildered as Sandy explains that he just walked away from his house and ended up here. Notably, Xiphoid and Serene Mist don't remember Sandy, even though they saw him in the air during the last video. This is interesting. It suggests that perhaps these players are also in a loop. How else would they forget an unknown player flying in their world? Sandy asks if he can stay to explore, and the players let him. They generously give him diamonds. As he wanders, Sandy sees another dark figure in a lilac bush, this one named Sightseer. The skin is slightly different from Voyeur. Back in the house, Sandy opens a chest labeled Plants. Suddenly, there's a static sound, and the screen goes black for a moment. When it returns, there's a slight difference. The 4 poppies in Sandy's inventory have been replaced with 4 lilac bushes.
Those are things in the painting.
Then, out of nowhere, a message appears in chat from someone named Execo3. Sandy. Sandy, you have to stop. You have achieved something you should not have achieved. Despite Sandy's confused responses, Execo3 continues. I got the signals from you. You are pushing the limits. As Sandy tries to interject, Execo3 mutes him, preventing his messages from sending. Then Exec continues. Why are you, out of everyone, acting like this? The fact you can even talk to me right now fathoms me. Sandy tries to ask about cargo, but Exec responds. Your friend is not coming back, Sandy. He never even played with you. Then the chat shows that O3 is warped to Limbo. The video switches, and we are now viewing the world from their perspective. The skin is dark and the UI is different, with a number 3 above the hotbar. Execo3 walks through Limbo and approaches the door to the unstable dimension. They jump in. As they type, a pink cursor is visible, the same design as Sandy. Are you sure this is safe? Execo3 uses a command called TP down, which takes them to the surface. There we find Execo7 as well as another dark figure called Spectator. I mean, just in case, you should lock the world. I don't want this to reach Sandy. Exec3 says that Spectator seems to be working fine and asks how to lock the world. O7 replies with a command. The ID number is the same as the experiment number. O3 locks the world. Then he says something notable. He somehow became a thinking mind, which is very interesting. His memories got wiped before we brought him to this world. That's very weird. Like I said, close the world just in case. This could trigger something in him if he joins. And then suddenly, we see a message saying that an unknown exec warped to this world.
There's nothing special to it.
Could this be Sandy? The video concludes with another static image of a house. It is returned, but it's darker than ever. There's a lot to unpack in this video. First, we are introduced to a different group of people than the regular players. These are the execs. They have special capabilities. They can use teleportation commands and mute other players. We also learn that they are associated with the dark watching figures, including Voyeur, Sightseer, and Spectator. While we still don't know the purpose of these dark figures, the way the execs talk implies that they're not players. It would be weird to say that a person seems to be working fine. Instead, there's some sort of automation or bot. What we do know is that these execs are trying to deal with Sandy. It's clear that Sandy is doing things he's not supposed to be able to do. accessing limbo and going to other
That's
players' worlds.
obvious.
Execo 3 says something interesting, that Sandy somehow became a thinking mind. While the deeper implications of that statement aren't yet revealed, it must be why the execs are concerned. But what about the experiments? What is the purpose of these loops, and what are the execs trying to do? We learn a bit more in the following video called Envoyer. This is French for sender. The description contains an enigmatic series of 16 numbers. This video is taken entirely from the perspective of Execo 9, who we haven't seen before. They are in some new place, dark like limbo but made of prismarine blocks. They approach a chest labeled 9 and retrieve a book from within. As they continue down the hallway, we see several numbered rooms. Apparently, these each correspond to an exec. We see Execo 2 in room 2. The player walks until they reach number 9. The block in the center appears to be a terminal. In fact, if we look at the lines as dots and dashes, it spells out decayed in Morse code. Exec 9 begins
Just
typing
like
in chat.
the name, oh
He's
my
been lurking
God.
again. He was spotted in the unstable dimension. He found out about the real house. He knows too much now. We can't see who Execo 9 is talking.
If you guys can reverse time, you guys can wipe memories. Like, there's no way. Sorry, these guys are just pissing.
To. Their responses are invisible. Whoever it is, Execo 9 says that they may need to intervene. The execs aren't completely sure how to stop Sandy. This half of the conversation contains a little detail. 09 says that Sandy found out about something called the real house. Whatever this is, Execo 9 believes that it's too much knowledge for Sandy to have. This mystery about the real house is something we'll want to keep in mind as we continue. The following video is titled Réalité, which is French for, you guessed it, reality. We return to Sandy's perspective. They're back in the main world for the 7th loop. This time, Sandy types the teleport command to bring him to the unstable world. How Sandy knows this command is unclear. Did he use /help, or is there something else going on? Regardless, the command works. The console message reveals that it was, in fact, Sandy who teleported in the meeting video. He arrives at the bottom of the mine and climbs the stairs. Spectator is still there, but execs 3 and 7 are gone. He enters the house to find that the basement is totally different. Instead of humble storage chests, there's a door leading to a complex network of rooms. There's a kitchen area, several bathrooms, bedrooms, and a bar. In one room, Sandy stumbles across a red chest. Opening it reveals that it has a name, Stored Vessel Information. Inside are 4 written books, labeled June, July, August, and September. These are diaries written by someone named Matthew David. The first entry is on June 2nd, 2017, and there are a total of 17 entries over the 4 months. The early text starts out normally. Matthew writes about being busy studying for a math exam, which is getting in the way of Minecraft. We learn that Matthew is 17 years old. Then something weird. There's a sudden jump from June 4th, 2017 to June 7th, 2023, a 6-year leap into the future. But Matthew talks as if he's still in the past. He mentions stressing about being prepared for his test. Mysteriously, on June 21st, we go back in time to 2017. It's not clear if Matthew made a typo or if this journal has some weird nonlinearities. Regardless, the exam goes pretty well. Matthew says that he wants to play survival multiplayer with a friend named Andrew. They decide to start up a server. That's the end of June. Sandy makes a comment. This is way too familiar. He then begins reading the July book. Matthew starts by lamenting about how he's been sick for a couple of days. Then there's something intriguing. I did see a weird creature in my game today, though. Could just be me going crazy. Even though me and Andrew are big fans of creepypastas, we obviously know that those are fake and that stuff like Herobrine, Entity 404, and all that doesn't exist. On July 4th, Matthew mentions a persistent headache that's not improving. He also added a friend named Thomas to the Minecraft server. Now, 3 of them are playing together. Then Matthew shares more about the creature he saw. It kind of looked like a player, but it just doesn't make sense because we are hosting this on Hamachi, and I checked Hamachi a few minutes ago and there's no one other than us 3. Yet he still doubts what he saw. Actually, what am I even saying? No shot there's another player here. That had to be something else. Between pages 9 and 10, there appears to be some text cut out. We're currently working on an for all of us since we need to get some good enchants. On July 10th, Matthew mentions that Andrew and Thomas have an idea to build a town with a castle. Then there's an update on the illness. There's a little problem though. I'm not really improving in terms of health. My head really hurts and my hands are constantly shaking. And if this keeps getting worse and worse, I'll probably have to take a little break from my computer. I don't know what's causing this exactly, but I'm afraid it might not be a flu anymore. It's been going on for way longer than it usually should.
No. No,
1
it's
week
not.
later, on July 17th, Matthew sees the player again. He seemed to have a white 03 on his head, while the rest of his skin is fully black. Matthew has seen an exec in his world. A black skin with a white number is their signature style. But this is the least of the issues. Things are getting worse for Matthew's health. Now, weird red spots are showing up on his skin. Matthew will be going to the doctor soon. In the meantime, he continues to play with his friends. My friends have no idea what it might be either, which worries me because they also started to become a bit sick. They're not in the same state as me, but they also have a small headache. Is this a coincidence, or is something going on? July 22nd. What? The doctors have no idea what this could be. I'm scared. My friends are saying they feel the same things I did 2 weeks ago. Apparently, a lot of teenagers across the world are somehow catching this disease, or whatever the it is. I genuinely do not know what's happening. By this point, Matthew has been sick for over 3 weeks, and his vitality continues to decline. 4 days later, he says he barely has enough energy to play on the computer. After playing for a few minutes and working on a mob spawner farm, I saw him, the 03 guy. He was just standing there staring at me, and he wasn't moving at all. He sent no messages in chat, but I somehow felt him speaking to me, as if he was speaking to me telepathically. And that's when I connected the dots. This cannot be a creepypasta anymore. He has to know what's happening, and he did this to me. This might sound insane, but I think the disease is being spread among our group, and the fact he just stares at me like that, he knows. I immediately closed my game and shut the server down. I have to tell this to my friends. This cannot be a coincidence. Sandy opens the August book. Matthew can no longer feel his hands. He has problems breathing, and he has the constant urge to vomit. He says that soon he won't be able to get out of bed. Then something chilling. My parents are more worried than ever, but something inside of me tells me not to care about, not to talk to them, to not listen to them. But I want to, even though my body refuses to. Matthew's text is becoming riddled with errors, extra spaces, missing words, misplaced punctuation. He even fails to properly sign his name. His skin grows pale except for the red spots. His mother cries, fearing that Matthew is near death. As I'm writing this, I feel an indescribable feeling flowing through my body. A mixture of emptiness, sadness, pain, loneliness. Matthew's words grow even more disordered, bizarre, and incomprehensible. Beg farewell to shattered bones, bones that shape your interior, bones that make you who you are, bones like the water of a river flowing towards destiny. It's pulling me. It wants me to reach it. It wants me to get closer to it. I don't ever feel my interior emptiness anymore. I don't ever feel anything anymore. My keyboard is pulling me closer to my monitor. He's calling me, whoever he is. In a matter of seconds, you just may find yourself falling, twisting into the abyss, screaming, wishing it didn't end like this. But the inevitable things come and go as they choose, and in the end, you will always lose. So sit back and relax as death swoops you down. The final entry is from September 13th, 2017. And now forever I will make part of it, attempting to run from what I can't escape. I can never outrun it. The limbo I'll be stuck in is part of me now. 1 hour, 10 hours, 10 days, 10 years, 10 decades, 10 centuries, 10 billions of years. Forever, I am part of it. I am part of it now. I belong to it now. And it was decided like that from the beginning. These journals are deeply unsettling. We don't know who Matthew David is, whether he's a player we've already met or someone new. However, there are some similarities to Sandy's story, playing on a multiplayer server and encountering odd players in the world. Notably, Exec03 is the same exec who talked to Sandy in the meeting video. But much more concerning is the fact that Matthew has some sort of disease. It starts as a headache but worsens over the course of about 10 weeks. Doctors can't diagnose what's happening, and the text suggests that this is afflicting other people as well. Matthew believes that this is connected to Exec03. As time passes, Matthew's text becomes increasingly poetic, dark, and jumbled. He describes a deep emptiness inside of him and a feeling of being called towards his computer monitor. The final pages are extremely cryptic. It's unclear if Matthew is alive or dead. Sandy returns the books to the chest. He turns around to see Cargo standing in the room. "Hey man. Cargo, how are you here? I was looking for you. I don't think we should be here." Something about Cargo is off. His text is overly formal, with punctuation and
It's not him,
capitalization,
is it?
a very different style from his earlier messages. Sandy instinctively knows that something is wrong. This can't be Cargo. Sandy begins to flee. Then Cargo continues. "Sandy, come back. We can talk about this." As Sandy runs into the mine, we get one final message. "You will regret this moment. You will always be the mistake known for ruining everything."
What did he do?
The following video is from a new perspective, someone with a reddish skin and no number above the hotbar. When they type, we learn that this is someone named Architect. The conversation is one-sided. However, the title of this video is Recepteur, French for receiver. Could this be the other half of Exec09's conversation? Watching the videos together, the chat messages align, revealing the full discussion. We learn that the Architect is disappointed in the execs. To keep Sandy out, all they had to do was lock the world. Ultimately, Architect tells the execs to figure it out on their own. Apparently, there are 64 of them in total. Architect walks away from the terminal, leaving Exec09 talking to the void. The description of this video contains text that's almost readable, like a Markov chain of disparate syllables. There are 16 lines, the same number found in the Envoyer description. It turns out that this is a code. By counting out the indicated position of a letter, we can find the first character. Repeating this for each line reveals the message. Body lacking a soul. Although this is enigmatic, there's a subtle connection to Matthew David's journals. As his disease progresses, he describes a feeling of becoming empty inside. There's another link as well. The name of the chest is Stored Vessel Information. A vessel is a hollow container, also empty inside. It's noteworthy that we've seen this concept a few times. The following video returns to Exec09's perspective, picking up right after their conversation with Architect. Another exec shows up. This time it's number 22. 9 says that the Architect wants all of the execs to work on the bugs relating to Sandy. They say that they need to shut down some of the worlds. Exec09 opens up the terminal and enters a numerical code, the same as the title of the book in their inventory. Access is granted. On the main menu, 9 selects the player's option. This shows a list of dies, each representing a different player. When the cursor hovers over one, it reveals more information. Sandy's location is undefined and his capability is sentient. Zyphoid and Serene Mist are both in the 8389 world, and their capability is Thinking Mind. Finally, there are many other players who we haven't seen before, all of whom have their capability as Vessel. Vessel. There's another connection to that word. Most players on this list are vessels, marked with a gray icon, contrasting with the 3 colored players. This suggests a progression in capabilities from Vessel to Thinking Mind to Sentient. So how did Sandy progress from Vessel to Thinking Mind? The description offers a few clues. Exec03 found a critical flaw in the system of the universe of the Decayed. Somehow, vessels, when stimulated in some weird way, have the capability of escaping their supposed trajectories and finding oddities that they were not supposed to find, such as the map being unfinished in certain areas, invisible platforms that allow teleportation between worlds, and a lot more. In other words, we don't know for sure, and it seems like the execs don't know either. The description continues. Do you know how Sandy managed to gain consciousness? No, I really don't. Definitely a flaw in the system. I make sure to wipe everyone's memories before they enter this universe, and I'm not quite sure what escaped their hands. But now, we see that Sandy isn't just a thinking mind. He's been elevated to sentience. In fact, it seems that the execs were afraid of this happening. In the meeting video, Exec03 mentions that Sandy has become a thinking mind. They don't want him in the unstable world because it might trigger something within him. However, Sandy does teleport there. In Exec09's discussion with the Architect, we learn that Sandy found out about the real house and now knows too much. Then, in this video, we see that Sandy is sentient. We now understand that the real house refers to the house in the unstable world. When Sandy found it, something promoted him from thinking mind to sentient. Could it be the journals? It's been mentioned a few times that Sandy's memory has been wiped. Perhaps reading Matthew's story somehow reminded him of the past. The specific details are still a mystery. The core point, however, is that Sandy has steadily progressed along the chain from vessel to thinking mind to sentient. And now, other players are on that path as well. Xiphoid and Serene Mist are thinking minds. They've escaped their supposed trajectories, breaking free of the loop. And it seems that this happens when Sandy has a conversation with them. Sandy is spreading the ability to think to others. All of this represents a problem for the execs who are trying to get the players under control. Back in the video, Exec09 right-clicks on the 3 players' icons, reporting them to the architect. Then 9 goes back to the main menu and selects Worlds, then World Management. The top block is the 1919 world, the unstable one with the real house. The exec changes the join permission from admin to none. They perform an attempted teleportation to confirm the world has been locked. In the back, exec 13 appears and asks if 09 turned off access to the real house world. 9 confirms that they did. Then they return to the terminal and choose a different option, global cameras. We see a list of lilac items. Hovering over one shows that this represents Sightseer, currently in Xiphoid's world. And suddenly, we understand the purpose of these dark figures. They're cameras into the experiments. The execs can see the camera feed from the terminal. As 09 starts watching, we see Serene Mist come up and look at Sightseer. They stare for an uncomfortably long time.
So staticky.
The audio is quite weird, and fans of my other ARG videos know that this means it's time to look at it in a spectrogram. This tool allows us to see frequencies in sounds. The x-axis represents time, and the y-axis is frequency. The higher the sound's pitch, the higher it is on the chart. For example, an ascending major scale would appear as a series of steps going upwards. Looking at the camera audio, we discover a secret message hidden within. Ying in my bed, unable to move. I can't get up. I can't even blink. Everything hurt. The words feel similar to the text in Matthew David's journal, although this specific quote is nowhere to be found. Could these be the words of Serene Mist instead? Exec09 leaves the camera and encounters Exec05. He asks what they're supposed to be doing, and 9 says that they're investigating Sandy. When he hears that, 05 says that he's gotta go and runs off. The chat shows that he's warped to the unstable world. 9 returns to the terminal to find that the teleportation permissions have reset. Apparently, Exec05 just changed it back.
What?
Confused, 9 talks to Exec35, who says that locking the real house world doesn't work for them either. Then 9 follows 5 to the unstable world. They run to the house and enter the basement, but things are beginning to change. Blocks are replaced with solid colors, some rooms completely consumed. 9 descends into the big tunnel and then the narrow one. He finds Exec05 taking Matthew David's diaries out of the chest, destroying them in a lava pit. When he sees that 9 is there, 05 punches him and flees back into the tunnels. After a few moments, the chat shows that 5 is warped to an unrecognized map. The video cuts to a white world with a table. Exec05 walks up and looks around. This must be the unrecognized map. We don't know why, but apparently 05 is concerned that the other execs are investigating Sandy. There is one more clue that I need to mention. The description contains a question. Where is cargo? The response is a jumbled mess of letters. These are encoded using a scheme known as Base 64. Upon decryption, we can find the answer to cargo's whereabouts. He is gone, forever, never to be seen again, nothing more than a memory. The next video is entitled Disposal, and it returns to Sandy's perspective. He finds himself falling down a long shaft before landing on a tree. His friends are nowhere to be seen. Sandy explores this new place. The layout is large and confusing, with many rooms and barred windows. There are several paintings scattered throughout. A lilac, a landscape, a white world, limbo. One is particularly notable. It has a painting of the real house, and if we look carefully, the layout of the room itself is similar to the house's interior. This includes the stairs to the basement, but this version overlooks the void. As Sandy continues to wander, it becomes apparent that this place couldn't actually exist. The space doesn't operate logically. This is perhaps most noticeable when Sandy enters a hallway that contains a jukebox. Sandy takes the stairs and loops around, ending up at the jukebox again. But that shouldn't be possible. Where's the entrance that Sandy used? This looping path is what's known as non-Euclidean. Normal geometric rules about space and distance don't apply here. Suddenly, the jukebox begins playing a song, Ward by C418. Sandy returns and punches it, causing the block to disappear. This action changes the configuration of the room again. Instead of ascending stairs to the right, there are now descending stairs going into a long tunnel. Sandy follows it and ends up under the tree in the main courtyard. He turns around. When he looks back, the tunnel is gone. Sandy goes to the redstone lamps and switches the first off and the third on. As he wanders more, he ends up on the other side of the wall. But something's wrong. The lights are incorrect. The pattern doesn't match what it should on the other end. Did someone flip the switches? Sandy walks towards the edge of the world, and this video ends. The following video picks up right here. Sandy continues to meander until he finds a lever labeled Emergency Switch. As he contemplates what to do, we hear footsteps in the background. Sandy quickly pulls the lever and the world cuts to black. Suddenly, Sandy is in the unrecognized map. We see Execo 5 with the table in the distance, and we learn something interesting. I see you have found the emergency switch. I have a lot to tell you, Andrew. Sandy's real name is Andrew, the same Andrew mentioned in Matthew's journal. Furthermore, Execo 5 reveals that his name is Thomas, another player from the SMP. This leaves just one remaining player, Matthew, who must be Cargo. The journal we read belonged to Cargo, who was the first to contract this mysterious disease. Execo 5, or Thomas, gives us the most complete explanation so far. A few years ago, there was some weird sickness that appeared. It infected Matthew, Cargo, and Andrew, Sandy. Thomas says that people who are afflicted by the illness are called vessels. These vessels are forced to play the same few minutes over and over. Sandy, Cargo, Serene Mist, Xiphoid, all of them fall into this category. Vessels aren't actually the people with the sickness. Instead, they're kind of like ghosts who control the lifeless bodies, their consciousness scattered across different worlds. Loops and vessels all exist in a multiverse called the Concept. Execs are the ones who manage it, and Thomas was hired as one. The execs work for the architect, who is the creator of the worlds in the Concept. The execs watch the experiments. If a vessel gains consciousness, they put a camera in the world to monitor it. This is why Andrew, or Sandy, saw Voyeur in his world. His growing consciousness triggered the execs to intervene. When Execo 9 saw that Andrew was sentient, he alerted the architect, who teleported Andrew to the disposal. This is a place where vessels who have become sentient are sent to be removed. However, Thomas anticipated this and opened the door to the emergency switch, allowing Andrew to escape. Despite this explanation, some questions remain unanswered. What is the connection between a physical human and a vessel in Minecraft? Does the consciousness of the person somehow get trapped within the game? Matthew's journal seems to hint at this. He says something is pulling him, calling him, and then later says that he's a part of it now, whatever it is. In some bizarre way, the end result of the physical illness might mean getting sucked into the Concept. The role of the execs is somewhat unclear. They focus on preventing vessels from becoming sentient, but the reason for this isn't obvious. Why is it better for vessels to be trapped in their looping worlds? It's also a bit strange that the architect constructed the worlds in which the vessels are trapped. Thomas says that a symptom of the sickness is being forced to replay the same few minutes over and over again. But how could this happen without the architect creating the worlds for the vessels to loop? Could the illness even exist without the Concept? And this raises a crucial question. If the architect designed the looping worlds, did he also create the disease? Where would vessels go if there was no Concept? It's also worth mentioning that each world in the multiverse is labeled as experiment. That feels a little bit more like these vessels were created intentionally. Right now, we don't have a great answer to these questions. Thomas's story feels incomplete, like we aren't being told everything. Regardless, Thomas continues, telling Andrew what he needs to do. If you want Matthew back, you need to go back to your loop. I will enable Matthew to possess Voyeur. Voyeur will be out of order and replaced with Matthew's vessel. From there on out, it's on you. You know how to get out. You know how to get to the limbo. That's the key place you can go to get out. You might need to find Architect. He might seem intimidating at first, but he's really not. If you could talk to him, you might be able to escape. He's the one who put you in this situation, so he can take you out of it. It's strange that Thomas suggests that Matthew and Andrew might need to talk to the architect, since the architect is upset that Andrew is sentient. However, Andrew says that he trusts Thomas. He pushes a button and he is teleported to the main world. Everything seems to be back to normal. Cargo's chest and bed have returned, and the basement is back in its original state. Andrew sees Voyeur on the hill and approaches him. The possession has apparently worked. Voyeur now speaks as Matthew. He says that he knows Andrew and that he remembers the house. Andrew tells him that the dark figures he saw in his journal were real, and that they're the reason for all of this. Andrew has been trapped in a loop without realizing it. But in the following video, things take a turn. It's called A Message to You. It's from Architect, and it's addressed to us, the viewers of this channel. Hello, this is Architect speaking. I'm sure you know who I am, viewer. I seriously discourage you from further watching the content on this YouTube channel. Alright, that's it, I guess. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Watching.